car, huh?
Yeah.
All right, this is chapter 3, applications and network attacks. There are actually a couple different projects in here, but we're going to do one first, okay? All right, it says the attacks that target applications continue to grow because we have more and more applications all the time. There's always more vulnerabilities found in them. There's web application attacks. There's obviously tons of those. There's also client side. So we were kind of using the client side attack a few minutes ago. And buffer overflow attacks. We're going to talk about all these. And there's 0-day attacks. Is there anything new someone's heard about that hasn't been patched yet? I haven't heard of any 0-day lately. Anyone heard of any?
There's a new one just come out, but we haven't heard about it yet.
Oh, okay, that's why. So that's still 0. But normally when
We got a security alert saying turn off gadgets on Vista and 7 because there's a paper at Black Hat starting Sunday.
right.
And so reportedly from the briefing of the
Well, it said there's a flaw in it. They're going to tell everybody about it.
Yeah, they're still showing exploit.
Okay, so at Black Hat this next week, they're going to show an exploit for gadgets. That'll be a 0-day attack. No one knows about it yet. It hasn't been patched yet.
Right. So
Okay.
what they did, they said that, like for an administrator like us, we could go into group policy and then just turn off the gadget sidebar.
And that'll fix
it. As a group policy. But now we have to communicate with all of our users because we don't know how many people are using gadgets. So
Right, and if you just turn them off, they might try to turn them back on or freak out or something. So, but a 0-day is something that a brand new exploit. Okay, we know something's wrong. It really hasn't been patched yet, so kind of sucks. Because the moment the word gets out, that's what normally happens. Someone finds an exploit, they tell the whole world about it. It takes time before Microsoft, whoever fixes it. So that's why it's called a 0-day. There's no days to fix it. But then when the patch comes out, then you can fix it. Okay. All right, web applications. There's a bunch of those issues out there. Well, it's because web servers are quite popular. Does anyone know what the most popular version of web server is right now? It's Apache. Apache is still number 1. Yeah, I was looking at the numbers just the other day. Apache's number 1. Microsoft is pretty popular, but still it's not even close to Apache. Okay? So web server, actually, go back to that question. Why do you think that's number 1?
Because it's free.
It's free. Heck yes. Microsoft, you need to buy server something or other, and you got to install it. Apache's totally free. It can run on Ubuntu, it can run on whatever. Okay? All right. So here we have a figure. We have some HTTP request, which is on port 80s, going to our web server, and it could go from there to an application. Could cause all kinds of issues. Okay? All right. So some common attacks, they say cross-site scripting, SQL injection. We're actually going to talk about each one of these. XML injection and command injection. We're going to talk about each one of these things. Okay. So if you can find a vulnerability in the web server, you can then use that to get into the system. Okay. Cross-site scripting says inject scripts into a web application, directly attacks clients. So basically your script is telling you to do one thing. You can edit a JavaScript on a page to tell it to do something different. So you're forcing it to do something else. Okay. So when the victim injects website, it says malicious instructions are sent to your browser. It could make it do all kinds of weird stuff. Okay. It really doesn't know what's malicious or valid, so it can perform whatever. Can't access your entire system, but it can cause problems. Okay. It says user accepts input without validation. Okay. So has anyone ever checked? You ever gone to a website and put something wrong in a box? Yeah. And hopefully most websites catch it, like phone numbers, but do they all catch it? No. No, they don't. Way back when I wrote an application when I was in the military called Leaves. When you went on leave in the military, they had to keep track of it. And this is back in the mid-90s, before the internet. So I wrote an application to keep track of that. I was a jet engine mechanic when I wrote it, so I really had no formal training in this area. But it just tracked when people don't went on leave. And I asked the question, name and then social security number. How would you enter a social security number? Anybody?
3 digits, dash, 2 digits, dash.
So 324, but he said with a dash. Would everybody use a dash? No. I might put it all numbers. I might put dashes. I might put spaces. I might put colons. The problem is my program wasn't validating the input. And what would happen was I did a little bit of validation. So when you entered it, if it was not in the system, okay, so Shalon's going on leave. I go in and I put her information in there because I work in the orderly room here. So I put in her information, it pops up, hey, this social security number is not in the system. Would you like to add it as a new person? I said, fine. So I put all Shalon's information in. Okay. Next day, Brian's working the front desk. Sean's going on leave again. Brian goes to put in Shalon's information. Now he uses it with a dash. And it pops up and it doesn't recognize. Oh, it's not in the system. Would you like to enter it as a new system? Because I wasn't checking it. Then Shalon can end up being in the system 2 and 3 and 4 times. And again, I wrote it as a jet engine mechanic. So you really couldn't fault me on that. I just, But it got popular where I wrote it from my orderly room. A friend of mine worked there. And it came one day where we had exercises where they basically said, okay, simulated exercise today, who's on leave? So what they had to do is they had to go to the filing cabinet, pull out each piece of paper, who's on leave, figure out what they left, when they're coming back. It took them time. So that's why I wrote this program. I mean, you could hit one button, it would automatically generate who's on leave, all their contact information. It did a really good job, and they really liked it. And my orderly room shared it with another orderly room who shared it with some others. And they're getting Air Force-wide all the way up to the Pentagon level. My program was being used everywhere. Well, then I get out of the jet engine area and actually became a computer programmer. And someone said, hey, we want to use this as a real Air Force program. Not just a Ken Dewey written program, but make an actual policy. And so they had to contact the developer, which was me. And actually, someone submit the request to make it a policy. In the Air Force, they have something called a suggestion program. You can suggest something. And what happens is if they accept your suggestion, you get money. When I was a jet engine mechanic, I worked on F-4s for a while, and on the F-4 fighter plane, they had something called a keel-wide duct, which is a metal duct that came off the top of the engines, which took air, joined it up, and then that's what made the heating and the air conditioning for the pilot and everything. Well, our regulation says if that thing gets cracked, you throw it away. I mean, a big chunk of metal. Well, it wasn't brass, but a big chunk of metal. Threw it away. That's what the instructions say. Oh, if it's cracked, throw it away. Well, some dude came in our building one day and said, why are you throwing all these away? He says, they're cracked. He says, if they're cracked, we throw them what? So he put a suggestion in, why don't you weld them? He made $16,000 the first year. It's like, jeez, I felt stupid. But we've been throwing, we're only going by what the instructions said. They said throw them away. But, so back to my software program, a guy submitted a request to make this an Air Force policy because everybody was loving it. Well, they came to me because it has to be, someone has to prove it. They said, and my first thought was, hell no, he ain't getting no money for my program because I'm the one who wrote it. So basically it asked, is there any known problems with it? And I knew there was problems with it at that point. So I basically told about all the problems, how should we not accept this, because I knew they're getting ready to switch to another system anyway. But my main problem was the issue with Social Security numbers. A quick fix was, see, when you originally did it, if you put in a Social Security number and hit enter, it asked, oh, is this a new person? We'd like to add them. It defaulted to the yes button. So you hit enter twice and you just put in new information. Well, the quick fix was make it default to the no button. So now if you hit enter twice, it pops up and asks for a Social Security number again at least. But that didn't totally fix the problem, okay? The big problem was the data. Because I had the program and then I had the data. The problem was, how am I going to go to all over the world running this program and correct the problem of Salon's name being in there 3 different ways? So we did the research and to fix this, and we calculated that with a team of developers, it would take 2 years to fix. And so basically we said, no, we're not going to implement this program, which I didn't want them to because I wasn't getting the money for it. But, again, I wrote it as a jet engine mechanic. It's kind of like, I really had no education at this point. I just wrote it. So, but it's kind of like cross-site scripting. I wasn't validating the input correctly. If I had validated the input correctly, it would have been so easy to just say, just check, make sure the numbers only or something. Could have solved all the problems in the world, but I didn't do that. Well, that's the same thing that's happening on websites now. Does everyone always read everything? No. I was doing something the other day. When you enter your address, it's normally address, city, state, zip. Well, it was like backwards. It was like address, city, country, zip and state or something. I'm like, what? And I was going through real quick, and it kept airing out. I'm like, what the heck am I doing wrong? Well, because it was out of order. But, not everything validates input. And if that wasn't validated input, who knows? My country might have been my phone number or something. You don't know. Okay? All right. So, cross-site scripting can be designed to steal your information, do all kinds of stuff. Okay? A bookmark page here can this is just an example of it here. All right. There it is. Thank you, Abby. They display your names. So, you ever see a page where it actually has your name on it? Stuff like that. A lot of pages do that now. They personalize them. So you actually could get a script that could scan the page and get information off it. So it could be an issue. Okay. SQL Injection. I have firsthand experience of that. I ran a program. Let's see if I can't find it here real quick. I hosted a website for this guy. I hosted this guy's website. Okay. This is an old Marine guy. Sells everything in the world now. He was planning on making like $9 million last year, selling T-shirts and bumper stickers and everything. But I created his website way back when. I managed his shopping, everything. But we used a program called VPASP.com. This was our shopping cart way back when, way long ago. Okay. Well, it turns out VPASP had an issue. Okay. It had a SQL injection vulnerability. And what it turns out, well, actually, I'll get to it in a second. But basically, it's you manipulate data stored in, okay? So, with that shopping cart, you know how you ever go to a shopping cart where you could search for a product? And I want to find, a pillow or something, okay? Well, the vulnerability in that program was they weren't validating the input of the search parameters, okay? So what they were doing was the box, you'd enter what you're looking for, and then it would query the database. It says, and product name equals whatever was entered. Well, they didn't validate the input, so someone could actually go into that box and type product name equals anything, or 1 equals 1. Obviously, 1's always equal to 1. Then you put a semicolon. Then you say select all from users. So you put that in the box. So you put in like T-shirt, or 1 equals 1, semicolon, select all from users. And what would happen was, 1 is equal to 1, and then it would run the next command after the semicolon, would then display the entire user database on the screen. And you could get the usernames and passwords and everything, all the administrator. And there's about 400 credit card numbers stolen because of that. So it can happen with anything, okay? So here it says forgotten passwords. The attacker enters incorrectly formatted email address. The response lets them know whether the input is being validated. So if I go to a website and ask for an email address and I put in a fake one or one that's not an email address, should it tell me that? But if it doesn't tell me that, then we know they're not validating the input. You see what they're saying? It should be checking for something at something dot something. Okay? And if it's not checking that, basically it's saying they're not validating it. Okay? Okay? So, and then what you could put in there is select field list from table where field equals whatever or A equals A. Okay? You could actually put that into the box for the username. What will happen is it will actually run this command. And it's kind of scary, but it does work. I said, that guy lost 400 credit cards because of that. I don't know who would even think of doing this, but it's a big, big deal right now. So what you need to do is whenever you're getting input on anything, I don't care if it's just a name, you need to validate it. You need to check to make sure it's valid before you process any commands with it. Because if I was getting a password or an email address, would that be a valid email address? No. There's no @ sign in it. So, but again, whatever we can think of, someone's going to think of it again. So it's just tough. I couldn't believe it when they came out with that fake. And you know what was even worse? The company found out about the vulnerability before we were broken into. Didn't notify the users. So we contacted them and were like, hey, what about this? Like, oh yeah, we had posted that on our website. Okay, but we were a paying user. Why didn't you at least notify us that, hey, there's a vulnerability. Take care of this. Now they do. Okay. Because I still get updates to this day about vulnerabilities. I'm a dude, I don't even use your software anymore. But so it's tough, okay? So here could be a statement, whatever, and email is null. You can basically do whatever. Whatever, and 1 is equal to, select the counts in the table to discover how many users are in there, find specific user. See, what's happening is, see this apostrophe after the whatever? Because what happens when they're doing when they're getting input on the box, they already have something in there, okay? When they write their code, they're taking whatever you enter and putting it inside 2 apostrophes, okay? Well, what's happening is by putting it in there like that, you're adding the second apostrophe so it finishes their first statement, and then you're writing a second statement after it. So you're causing the program to perform what it's not supposed to perform. So, all right. So like even the last one, whatever, so the email equals whatever, apostrophe, so that statement of searching for the email is now complete. Semicolon, next statement. Update member set email equals blah, 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 blah. So what we did is we just set the email address to whatever. And a lot of things supported that. We did a project in security commerce a couple years ago, which we don't have working at the moment. And we actually had students using Telnet to access the system, which you all know Telnet is very unsecure. We made it specifically so they could do SQL injection attacks. It was cool because some students actually did figure that out. So, all right, hold on 1 second here. All right, so SQL injection, like I said, is very scary. And if you ever find something that has it, obviously don't try to exploit. I definitely let them know. So if you ever go to a website and you enter something wrong and it takes it, you need to let them know because it is, listen, credit card number gets stolen, user information. Because just like I said, that other website, someone put in, product is whatever, apostrophe, whatever, select all from users, and it instantly displayed it. So how do you think that bad guy got access to the format of the tables and everything? The database structure. Well, that program you can download free off the web, a trial edition. So there you go. So, think about it. With every program out there, you can always download trials or demos or something, figure out how to exploit it, and then go actually exploit it. So, kind of scary stuff. All right, XML injection. XML is extended markup language or extensible? Extensible. One or the other. Markup language, okay. It's for adding, basically it's adding annotations. It basically is the way to format our data, okay? HTML, does anyone consider HTML as a programming language? I have people who come to me and says, oh, I can program. I said, what do you program in? HTML? I said, so you can use Word. They're like, what? All HTML is formatting. I want this piece of text to be bold. I want this piece of text to be underlined. That's all HTML is. So if you can do HTML, that's not programming. XML gives us the ability to take our data and actually put, data flags to it, okay? But people could screw that up as well. Could do something similar. Now, I've not actually seen one of these actually in use, okay? But with injection, it's just like the other ones, but it's where people don't validate it, and it says attacker discovers website and does not filter the data. In other words, it takes it any way you give it, and it just takes. A lot of places do that. They just take it. Okay, I wrote I wonder where's that email? Where's that thing at? I wrote that Marine guy showed you his webpage a few minutes ago. He has a mail server called Smarter Mail, and he wanted the ability to offer free email services to Marines or anybody. Well, I wrote him an application using C# that would go out and actually create user accounts. Like, anybody see any problems writing something like that? How I'm going to allow anybody in the world to create a user account for what?
Marines can't read.
Yeah, Marines can't read. Well, the problem I had was I had people worldwide signing up for this stuff. And then, he wanted it automated. So he wanted so you could go to the website, sign up online, the email account would be created, and you could start using it. That's tough to do, because how do I know you're not in Nigeria? So what I ended up doing in the code was I made it where as if your IP address was from the continental United States. Because I could check where you were connecting from. So if your IP was from the continental United States, I went ahead and did it. But then what?
But what if they were over in
Well,
Afghanistan?
okay, but I know that, but initially that's what I did. First step was if you're from the U.S., I created the account, and I told the administrator the account has been created and we're good to go. If you're not from the United States, I create the account, but I disable it. And I notify you that your account has been created, waiting for authorization from whoever. Then what I would do is I'd send an email to the administrator, say, okay, this account has been created, but it's not been validated yet. All right? And then it's another check. And then you as the administrator actually have to turn it on. But I asked for things like phone numbers, zip codes, stuff like that. Because what he would do is he would get this stuff and send out mailing lists. He would send out catalogs. And something about the Marines, it's, anyone retired or been in the Marines in here? Probably not. Okay. I'm in the Air Force. With the Air Force, well, okay, Marines first. Marines, there's a saying, once a Marine, always a Marine. You ever heard of that saying?
Yeah.
That's true. You could have served 5 days, you're a Marine for the rest of your life. With the Air Force, once an Air Force member until you get out. Then you're no longer an Air Force member. I don't wear Air Force T-shirts and Air Force everything, but Marines, they will literally be wearing Marine Corps stuff until the day they die. That guy sells Marine coffins. Literally, coffins. I mean, they're like dressed, are they greens, whatever color their uniforms are. It's like all this stuff he sells. I mean, he makes millions of dollars on it. So, but it was just weird. And trying to figure out a way to automate that process is tough. Okay, but he wanted the mailing list because what he does is people would send him news articles. Then each week he would send them out to this whole mailing list. He'd call it scuttlebutt, whatever. They would all these stories from all these Marines. He would send it out to the news list, and along with it, hey, you want to buy a T-shirt? Hey, you got a new bumper sticker? That kind of stuff. It was just some advertising in there. So it worked out really good, but it's tough to figure out how to get that stuff to work correctly. And I couldn't think of a better way to do it, because he wanted automated. Where the best I could do was check continental United States. I checked if it was a valid zip code, that kind of stuff. But, you still could have faked it. Yeah. But yeah, I still had people, and then I actually had to go and I made it so you could only use the mail from the website. You couldn't use it from Outlook or anyone else. That way you were limiting on what you can do. But I had people that would still go in there and send spam. So then I limit where you could send to no more than 10 recipients at a time, and it was just like, it's tough because everything you come up with, somebody else comes up with something else. So, but XML, again, not formatting it. You can basically inject data into the database, and once you can do that, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. Okay? All right, command traversal. I'm going to bring up a command prompt here real quick. All right, let me make this bigger so y'all can see it. Okay, I'm going to go with Lucidia console, and I'll go 24. All right, so I'm going to go actually, tell me what this does. So, what's that going to do?
It's gonna go back twice, go to parent twice, and then go forward.
Okay, what it basically said was, starting up here, this first set of dots says go back once. So I went from the bpres into users. Then I said go back again, so I went from users to the root of C drive. Then I said go up into Windows and up into System32. Okay? Well, an unpatched web server allows that. So you could basically, surf a web server. You could go to someone's web server and type that command in if it's been unpatched. Okay? Basically was saying it's going to go down, depending on what the path was, I don't know. But you could basically tell it to go and then run command.exe. Then on the web server would pop up a command box. Then you're running commands on the server. So it's kind of scary. Okay? But normally a lot of times instead of command, they'll do dir or something like that. So when you run it, when you execute it, then all of a sudden the directory listing appears on the screen. when I went to University of Tulsa, I had to create a web server in Java, which is actually very simple to do. But I had to prevent against that. I had to prevent it so that, now, you want this to be able to work. Because sometimes you ever look at web URLs, it's like a very long string of directories. So you need to be able to go backwards and forwards in it. But you want to make it so it can't go past the root. So I should not have been able to go all the way down to C, then back out in another. I should have had to stay inside the user's area. If this is my web server. So that's what command injection directory traversal is. Okay. Web servers usually restrict to the root of the directory. You want to stay in google.com/whatever. You want to stay in there. You know, what if Google, like when I ran mine, I hosted hundreds of websites. They were all running on the same machine. I would have D webs, and underneath the webs, I would have all the different websites. Okay? And whenever you logged into their website, you would see everything in their tree. But it would kind of suck if you were at Intel Gymnast, where you could go to intelgymnast.com, // get back to the root, and then go into grunt.com or something, into some other website. You wouldn't want that to happen. Okay? It says users may be able to access subdirectories, kind of like I showed you, but not parallel or higher levels. You want them to stay in their area. Okay? They could run command.com. If it's Linux, they could view the password file. Way back in the mid-90s when I was first started working for an ISP, we had this guy that used to host some of our stuff, and he run Linux, which is fine, most popular one on the market. But and whenever do any install on Linux, I know Al has. Anyone else? Now it defaults. There's a lot of stuff like the etc. directories where the password's installed, and the website's under HTTP docs, stuff like that. He would set no defaults. Every time he did something, he was in a weird location, which is good because if you broke into it, like you saw, I knew to go down twice, then go into Windows and go into System32. But that's kind of a vulnerability because I know it's there. But on that guy's system, he renamed everything. So the etc. directory was not etc. I didn't even remember what he called it. But if you did break into it, you wouldn't have a clue. You'd be like, great, I can't find a darn thing. Okay? All right.
Did you do it for that reason? Or
Yeah, he was very, very paranoid. And what sucked was we'd host with him. And we'd try to access the CGI directory to run scripts. He's like, oh, it's not there. It's instead of CGI-bin, it's blue truck or something. Like, what? And it was really weird.
You really have to know what you're doing because there's so much stuff that's kind of
Yes.
built to be in those
Right.
files.
But he would redo everything so it ran out of these weird locations. It was tough. Okay. So directory traversal again. Take advantage of software vulnerabilities. Attacker moves from the root into restricted areas. Okay. But yeah, most web servers have that all fixed now, just not all. Okay. All right. Client-side attacks. Says web application attacks are server-side, but there also could be client-side. There could be something wrong on the client, and that's a lot of time where JavaScript comes in. Okay. How do you get them? We interact with a compromised server. Okay. Could result in all kinds of problems. Okay. Try by download. This is a good one. It says client computer compromised simply by viewing a web page. You ever go to a web page and something wants to install? A lot of malware does that now. Just by going to a link, it starts to download. You out of here?
No, I'll be back.
Oh, okay.
Just read my stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. So it says attacker injects content into a vulnerable web server. Then once people go to it, they can get in. They can also create 0-pixel frames so people can't see them. They can create stuff that they can't view at all. They download the scripts, and a lot of this has been fixed. But the problem is, like my school is running Server 2003. Okay? That's fine. There's no issues with it. But what if they, today had to rebuild a server? Obviously, when you first build a server, you're going to have no updates on it. And one of my ex-students of mine, he works at the VA Medical Center. He's in charge of their security. His signature says something like, an unpatched Windows system live on the internet will last about 6 seconds. So it's tough. I mean, okay, so you build a system. Say we're all going to build a server 2000 today and get it secured. How would we do it? We'd install server 2000, then what would we do? Well, yeah, but where are we going to get the updates from?
You try to download from another box
Right. The problem is you're going to go use the internet to get the updates, but they last about 6 seconds because people are out there scanning at all times now. Back when I had my ISP, I had my firewall misconfigured initially because I did it the way a friend said do it, and I finally fixed it all. But once I got it fixed correctly, Bill Richards, who takes some of our Unix classes, says, "Wow, what'd you do, Ken? My hits on my firewall are basically zero now because I got my firewall configured correctly." Because there's people at all times trying to. Just imagine someone standing at that door 24/7 trying to open it. That's the internet. They're just trying to open the door all day long, waiting for you to accidentally leave it unlocked. So if you try to build a machine live on the internet, you're going to go download the updates. Oh, you're infected already. So you need to download them to a different machine, which a lot of times, if you want to get downloads for Microsoft stuff, go to technet.microsoft.com. You can download the service packs and all the fixes and the updates rather than go to Windows Update or something. That way I could download them on USB and transfer it over. Okay?
SUS server.
Oh, SUS is a good idea too. That software update services. Say we got this room here. We got 30 machines in this room. Do all 30 machines really need to contact Microsoft for updates? If they do, that's a lot of traffic. What we should do is we should have one machine over here running WinSUS or Microsoft software update services where it downloads all the updates. Then all you guys internal just connect to me. Most places have that. I don't know if all do, but actually our computer labs do not, by the way.
It works pretty good.
Yeah. So it's really, really good. Okay. Header manipulation says HTTP header contains fields that characterize data being transmitted. They say what's going on with it, the format of it, all that kind of stuff. Okay. But most stuff that's been updated no longer allows this. Okay. Everyone ever seen the refer? Do you know when you go to a website, they know where you came from? Yeah. When I ran my ISP, I used to run web trends and stuff like that. I could see where people came from, what words they searched on to find me, how long they were at my website, how long they were on each page. I can see what pages come up with errors. I mean, those capabilities are amazing. You ever get a 404 error? Probably. So the web server you got that on should have received that error message as well. Then they should go in and say, oh, someone tried to go to a link. But then the cool thing is they'll be able to find out where that link came from, so they can get it fixed. So, okay. So the refer pages can cause this stuff as well. Okay. Another thing we can do, what if I was to go to your website? Actually, let me go to a website real quick. I need a website that's pretty simple. Well, I'll take this one. What if I took this website? This is your website right here. I want to do view source. Okay. Here it is. I want to take this website, file, save. I'm going to save it over here somewhere. I'm going to just call it index. If I can download it. Hopefully I can. Okay. Let's see if I actually did that correctly. No guarantees it's going to work. I did not prepare for this ahead of time. Oh, I got it. All right. Now I'm going to edit it. Maybe. Open with Notepad, that'll work. Okay. I'm going to go somewhere in here, and the word activities is in there. Okay. File save. Oh, cancel. File save. Okay, we'll call it index 2. Okay, just some. All right. So now, I got a website. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, again, I did not download all the other components that go with it. Now I got to find, where's it? I did activities, wasn't it?
Yeah, scroll up, it was up there.
Oh, was there?
There it is in the links.
Ah, see right there? See that link right there? I changed activities, AAA activities. If I downloaded all the content, actually I don't even need all the content. So now, what if this is a website selling something and you had hard-coded the cost of the item in the web page? So like PayPal does that on some pages. So I saved the page. Instead of $1,000, now it's $10. Save it to my hard drive, click on the link. You're not going to know any difference. Because let's see if that link actually worked. Well, I can't because it's under file, but normally it would work. It's just I didn't save it correctly. But I was able to modify the website, and if that was a link doing something, that could be a big problem. Okay, so kind of scary stuff. Shouldn't allow people to do that. All right. So, okay. This, let's see what else. That can modify the field. We talked about that. Can modify the web page. Says some web applications pass contents of the fields directly to the database. That's what I'm talking about, like pricing. Bad idea. There's also, which they don't cover in the book, there's also proxy servers out there. Blue Sky, I think is the name. Blue something. Blue Jay.
Blue code,
What?
blue code.
Maybe it's Blue Code. It's a proxy that what happens is you can set up as a proxy and you can make it so that anytime any request is sent, you have to say accept. So what I can do is I can go to your web page, basically it shows it to me, then I can say send, send, send. So I could go to buy something from your website, say I'm going to buy a router for $1,000. I click on purchase. So before the request gets sent, it goes through my proxy. But I can see the actual code of the purchase, change the price to $10, then send it on. What happens is now I'm getting a $1,000 router for $10. The guy at the class I went to 2 weeks ago, or last week, demoed this for a Cisco router. He knew this web page had the vulnerability. I'll be darned it worked, because when he added it to his shopping cart, it has a big old piece of Cisco equipment for $10. He didn't complete the purchase because it was being bad, but he was saying a student of his did it with Harley Davidson, a Harley jacket. He bought the Harley jacket for $5. Because think about it. What happens on websites now when you buy something? If, like that Marine guy, if you buy something on his site with a valid credit card, it processes your credit card automatically, sends the shipping label and everything straight to the shipping department. They walk in tomorrow morning, pick up the shipping label, fill it, send it off. Do they verify that you actually paid for it? No, because they don't get the order unless you paid for it. Did anyone actually verify the cost of the items? No. So that guy did it with a Harley Davidson jacket. He got the jacket for $5. Then he contacted Harley Davidson and told them what he did. And they actually hired him to fix their website and then gave him the jacket for free. Or let him keep it for $5. So it's tough that people don't think about it. I would have never thought about doing that. Okay. Cookies and attachments. What do y'all think about cookies? I'm not talking chocolate chip like we're in the hotel each night. Peanut butter's good. Sugar cookies I don't kind of like. But cookies store user information. A prime example, actually, let's see if it's on this machine. No guarantee it's going to be there. All right, UPS.com. It's asking for my location. Okay? So I'm going to tell them I'm from, where do you want to be from? Thailand? Yeah, let's be, what the hell is Tola? Right, let's get some weird one in here. We need, no, English? No, we want something other than English. There it is. We want.
Why does it ask for that? Why don't you just pick up your location?
Well, that's actually a very good question. Okay, so now I'm in Swedish, okay? So now I'm going to go back. UPS.com. Oh, how does it remember I selected Swedish? Because it stored that data in a cookie.
Swedish people on there.
Yeah, but we're going to reboot in the morning anyway, or today, and then we'll reset it. But CNN does it. A lot of websites do that. You're right. It would be nice if they did that, but okay, I'm in the U.S. I'm Swedish. I want to see it in Swedish. That's why you need to be able to select it. It drove me crazy. I was in Cozumel, Mexico for 3 or 4 days, and I brought up Google. The darn page was in Spanish. I'm like, how do I change this stupid thing to English? It was driving me crazy because they were checking my location and automatically showing it to me. I would rather have them ask me than force it because, what's the primary language in the U.S.? Isn't it Spanish right now? Pretty close. So many people speak Spanish, so it's like, somewhere, was I driving recently? It was on the way to Texas, scanning through the radio stations. It was like every other station was in Spanish. I'm like, wow. You really have that many Spanish-speaking people? So, yeah, cookies store user information. They store preferences. They store when you buy stuff. You ever go to Amazon and buy something, then all of a sudden the next thing they're saying, hey, we recommend you buy XYZ. Okay? All right, first part of cookies is cookies created by a website. You can also have third party. It says site advertisers place a cookie on there to record it. Again, we talked about advertising earlier, but it's a necessary evil, I think. And session cookies. It used to be people were really freaking out about cookies. But they're kind of necessary. You really can't buy much on the web if you got cookies disabled. It ain't going to work. Okay? Persistent. So recorded on your hard drive, does not expire when the browser closes. So what happens when I go in and delete my browsing history and cookies? Does it really go away? Some of it does. Very small amount of it does. Okay? Very, very small amount of it. So if you ever think that's deleting your history, it ain't. And I don't know if I can see it on this one. See, it depends on when you guys imaged it. If I go in here to history, okay, it's actually stored here. Let me try to go to this directory. No guarantees it's going to work. C, users.
Did you just put view files?
Yeah, but it won't go to the right directory. App data, local. What did I spell wrong? C users, B RP res. Okay. Next error. Yeah.
You have to use quotes.
Oh yeah, because it's got spaces in it.
And local didn't have an L at the end of it.
Where?
Local.
Oh, there it is.
Microsoft.
See, this is a defective keyboard. Okay, that's where I'm at. Okay. Just keeping that up there. I'm going to go over and say view files. Okay? And did it pop up another window?
I think it took your same number.
I want another window. Alright, well, alright. Well, shit, I closed it anyway, didn't I? Okay, there's that. Okay, so we got two different ones. Now I'm going to delete that. Actually, it's showing the same directory, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it isn't. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Okay. Let's get rid of them. Okay, first of all, we're not saving any data. Y'all see that? It's already set to 0. So why do we have any data? Now I'm going to say delete. And let's see. Preserve, we don't want that. I don't know if this is going to show it to me correctly. Okay, so I did do delete, didn't I? So it should be gone, shouldn't they? Theoretically, they all should be gone now.
But,
If they were all gone, then why do I have all this stuff in here?
did you refresh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now you do it. Now, they're still not gone, I'm telling you. Let me see if I can find it. It's hard to find. It's under... Well, let me see if we're hiding stuff. But there's a directory called IE 5.0. That's what I want to see.
That one, where is that one?
You know what I'm talking about.
I did.
See, hide empty drive. Oh, see, they're hiding protected operating system files. There's one, I can't remember where it's at. Local, download. Okay, well, I don't know exactly where it's at. It's taking me too long to find it. But there's actually a directory called internet.ie5, whatever, some number that actually has it in there. I just don't remember where it's at. And normally, you could find it.
I think it's under app data.
Yeah, but see, when I was on there, I couldn't even see the app data directory.
Oh,
Yeah, because it could be, let's see. So,
Is it program data
well, let's see. Is it under program data?
under Microsoft?
Well, hold on.
Did you do a search?
Yeah, you can't find it though. Microsoft.
Microsoft Windows NT. Is that the directory it's under?
No, it's not there. Let's see, Windows. Okay, it could be also, let me see if this is on here. Not protected mode is not turned on, so that shouldn't be the issue. But the point is, it stores it. Okay? And even though you delete all your files, it doesn't get rid of them. I always end up messing with it when I'm trying to get rid of viruses, because even though you delete your internet files, they're not gone. Okay? So it's tough. Okay? All right, you can also have secure cookies that are stored encrypted. Okay? Flash cookie says uses more memory than traditional cookie used for browser configuration. Yeah, it can't be deleted like we just tried. Okay, it says pose security and privacy risks because people can read them. Websites can actually read other websites' cookies. So I could be surfing Amazon.com and buy.com could actually read an Amazon.com cookie to see what I was trying to buy from Amazon.com. So it may be stolen or used to impersonate people. It could also be used in session hijacking, which is kind of scary. So if I was able to get your cookies, and it looks like you were just at a website, then all of a sudden I'm just at that same website. Okay? Let's see. And here's an example. They got a session token. Someone could get it and all of a sudden become me. Okay?
Is that what's that iSpy? That Zeus, that new Zeus more?
Will that do it?
The one with the bank, like you would try to log onto your bank and then it seems like it errored out, but it really didn't. And then you log in again and you see your balance.
Right.
And then you're doing your thing but they've gotten your password in.
Ah.
And they keep a picture of, your balance.
Right.
But they've just
Taking all your money.
dollars. Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's I think it's Spy Eye or iSpy. It's a Zeus.
Oh, nice.
Type.
There's just so many out there. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could sit around all day long and just hack into machines? Get paid to do it. That's what a lot of people do in China and all them. They get paid to do that. Okay. All right. Buffer overflow. It says process attempts to store data in RAM beyond the boundaries. Here's an example of that. Do we have any programming background in here at all? Maybe a little bit. Okay. So I'll bring this even lower then. Imagine I have a Tupperware container to put stuff in. Okay. That'll hold 10 cookies. Okay. 10 chocolate chip cookies. What happens when that gets full and I go beyond that? I'm storing them somewhere else. Well, a buffer holds a certain amount of information. What happens if I try to write beyond the bounds of the buffer? Well, then I could actually be overwriting something else in memory. Because the computer stores everything in memory. And you can override it. Different languages allow more of that than others. Okay? So you can actually overflow into adjacent. So imagine you put more cookies than that container can hold. So all of a sudden, now you're inside another container that something else would normally use. Okay? Could cause them to stop functioning. Could allow them to change return address so different things come back to them. All kinds of stuff. Okay? They tell you where to jump to in memory, but the malware tells it to go somewhere else. Okay? Okay. Denial of service is attempts to prevent system performing normal functions. Now, I can sit here and ping you guys all day long. Say all of you were pinging my computer. What a ping is, let me show you what a ping is. Ping www.google.com. Oops. All right, I'm pinging Google. What's happening is my machine is sending a request to Google saying, "Are you there?" And they're replying, "Yes, I am." And that's getting pretty quick. What, 12 milliseconds? No, 32 milliseconds? Which isn't bad. And I can change the size with L. It's dash L. Let's go 1500. So now, what was before that? Hold on. What was I doing before that? I was sending how much? I was sending 32 bytes of data. See that? Now I'm sending 1,500 bytes of data. So I'm sending a lot more. Okay? Lots and so what if I keep raising that up to the limit? I forget exactly what the limit is. But then what if I have 2 machines doing that? Or 30 machines, or 1,000 machines? What Google's machine is having to do right now is saying, yes, Ken, I'm here. Yes, Ken, I'm here. But now it's having to accept all that data, then reply back. So you can see how we could overwhelm them sooner or later. You know, when I taught Cyber Patriot at Rose State this last fall, and I had the students trying to, ping my machine. Now we have a gigabit network up there. Okay? So I had some of the students hit me like 50 times at once. Still couldn't take my machine down. But what if it was thousands and millions of computers doing it? Think of it like answering the phone. How many phones can you answer at one time? There is a limit. So that's what denial of service is. Okay? It's making it, basically killing it. It says attempt to prevent the system from performing normal functions. Okay? Back when I worked for that ISP, we bought out an ISP in Tulsa. Well, an ISP went bankrupt, so we bought them. The guy was nice enough. The very last thing he did was change all the passwords and didn't tell us. So we got all the systems, connected them all up. Nothing worked. So all the users start calling us. And I still remember the day we were sitting there and we were all just watching our phones. Every phone was ringing. Voicemails were all full. We're basically like, well, nothing. Because we couldn't fix anything for like 2 days. Because the way it works with AT&T WorldNet, which was our dial-up provider, you had to give them 48 hours notice before they made an update. So we knew what the problem was. We told them to fix it. And they said, all right, we'll implement it in 48 hours. So we're like, great. What are we going to do for the next 48 hours? So we were literally sitting there just watching our phones ring and ring. It was like, I gave up. It was terrible. We got to the point where we could not perform normal functions anymore. Okay. Ping flood, it says, ping utility used to send large number of echo requests, just like I was doing. But what if we did tons of them? It could overwhelm the server. Smurf attack says, ping attempts with originating address changed. So what if I was pinging Google, but I tell it my address is some computer that doesn't exist? So Google gets my request, they reply to an unknown system, which doesn't exist, so then their request comes back and times out. So it's tough. Okay. Do y'all know how email works? Do y'all have a general idea how email works? What happens if you send an email to a wrong address usually? Sometimes it bounces back. So if you're sending me an email, if you spelled Dewey wrong, you send it to Rose State, it's going to come back to you and say you spelled it wrong. Well, did you know Cox doesn't do that? For the most part. They do somewhat. But what Cox does is to prevent spammers, because what spammers will do is they'll send email to every email address they can think of, whether it's valid or not. They'll just take every name and every comment, they'll just send spam to them. So what Cox was having to do was Cox was having to reply to all those, the invalid address. And what if the spammer sends it from an invalid address? So they send it to Cox. Cox answers it. That's 1. Cox replies to an invalid address. It rejects back to Cox. That's 3. So they're processing the emails 3 times now. So what Cox does now is they make the best guess. So at Cox, you might get mail. So say you're sending the mail to K Dewey. I might get email for K Dewey 6, Dewey K, anything close to it. So they said, you know what? The odds are it's spam anyway. But they're not sure. So they deliver it to the closest name they could find. But now they only had to process it 1 time. Isn't that kind of a cool way of handling it? It's weird the way all that works. So, all right, so Smurf comes from an invalid address has been changed. It appears if the target computer is asking for response from all computers, or you want it where they reply back to a broadcast address, which can be terrible. SYN flood. TCP uses what's called the 3-way handshake. It's a SYN, a SYNAC, and an ACK. Okay? So I make a SYN for a synchronized message. Okay? And then Sharon responds with an acknowledgement and a synchronized message. Then I reply to her with an acknowledgement. So that's 3 ways. That's how it works. But what if I sent Sharon a SYN message and she sent me a SYN-ACK message? Then I just sat there and twiddled my thumbs. What's happening to Sharon right now? She's waiting. She's waiting for my acknowledgement. What if I never send it? What's the default timeout on TCP? Does anyone know? It's actually 10 minutes. The default timeout for TCP/IP that hasn't been adjusted is 10 minutes. So she could be waiting 10 minutes before she gives up on me. Imagine someone calls you and say, hello? Hello? What if you said hello for 10 minutes? But what if 1,000 phones kept calling, hello, hello? And so it sucks. That's a SYN flood attack. Okay? Takes advantage of the procedure for establishing a connection like I talked about. Distributed denial service, rather than 1 or 2, what if 1,000 people did it, or 1,000,000? Like we talked about those botnets you can buy. Okay? Here we are. A victim, waiting for reply. Here's our SYN flood. That's kind of a weird picture, but they send a SYN and a SYN ACK, but then they never get the rest. Okay? Interception, man in the middle. Okay? Actually, I showed this in the last class. Oh, it's not installed on these, is it? If I think about it after break, I'll install Kane on this, and then we can show you again, because it's kind of a cool little demo. I'll install Kane. Install. Remind me at break, I'll install Kane real quick, and then we'll demo that. It's kind of cool. Let's take real quick. Man in the middle, we can basically get in between the communications and see what's going on. Replay attack, similar to it, but maybe we're going to tell it to over and over and over. When I was taking my first master's degree back in the middle 90s, there was a big story about these guys that were ripping off ATMs. And they caught them. The only way they caught them was they caught them standing out by ATMs with brown bags collecting money. What they had done was ATMs back then were all on the phone line. They would record it. Then they would just keep playing it back to the ATM over and over. So it was giving out money, giving out more money. The response to give out money, they just kept playing it back over and over and over and over and over. They caught the guys because they were just standing there collecting money as it came out. So pretty scary stuff. Replay attack, there are ways to fix all that now, and really HTTPS takes care of all of that for us. They make a copy of it, uses it later on. You can also copy login credentials. Okay. When I was up in Tulsa, I had to write a sniffer, which I did, worked fine. I was able to capture traffic. But I always wanted to play it back. My goal was I wanted to capture me printing something, then replay the printing. The problem was my printer was a network-based printer, and I would have to recreate the handshake again because it would be a new handshake. So I never did actually get it to work. That would take way too much time. I always thought that would have been cool if I could just capture traffic and keep replaying it. Like, give Ken $20. Keep playing that. Give Ken $20. That would have been awesome. Okay. All right. More sophisticated ones is the attacker captures network's device message to the server. Later, it sends the original valid message to the server. Create a trust relationship. So in other words, I capture when you logged into or you authenticated with the server. I play it back later. Now the server thinks it's me. Okay. Art poisoning, we'll look at it again when I do Kane, but it's a way of fooling the machine to think you're someone you're not, and we'll walk through that, and I'll talk about ways to do that. DNS poisoning, what if I was to get into your DNS server? Well, ones that worked, and that would be helpful. What if I was to get into your DNS server and say, oh yes, my name is First National Bank? Then you, as normal users, ask the DNS, hey, I need to go to First National Bank, and you forward them all over to me. To you, I would be First National Bank. So that could be an issue. Okay? It says, substitute DNS addresses to redirect computers to another device. Kind of like Monday when we were having class, my IP address changed. The DNS was telling you to go to a device which was no longer me. Okay? All right. They can do it through a local host table. I don't think I'll be able to do it on here. Actually, I'm going to try real quick, if you don't mind. If this works, this would be cool. No guarantees. Don't think it works well in Windows 7. We're going to try to show it to you, though. If you go to Windows System 32, drivers, etc., there's a file in there called hosts.
I had to go through Notepad.
You had to open it through Notepad?
That's what I had to do last night. I had to edit my own.
You have to tell it over because it doesn't have an extension.
File save. No, well, let me save it. Darn it. It's write protected. Is that the problem? Properties. No. Let's see if I can overwrite it, though. File, Save as. Go out of here. No, I don't have the ability to overwrite it. Well, that sucks. Okay, I didn't think I was going to. But imagine this.
Oh, you have to run it. You have to run Notepad as administrator.
Oh, was that it? Okay, let's try that.
That's funny. I had to go through all programs and then run it as.
Okay, all programs, accessories, run as administrator,
And then you have to open up this file.
file, open.
It's there. Just go to all files.
Oh, duh. Okay, I was already in the directory, wasn't I? All files. And now let's try it. Save. All right, good. It's working. Good catch. All right. I want to go to okay, I'm just getting an address for Google. Does anyone know why Google's got more than one address? What's it called? It's called round robin. The first one that quits gets the first one, and the second one, and the third one, and the fourth one. I'm going to go to 74.125.225.179. Okay. All right, if I was to bring in my web browser now, I'm going to go to Yahoo.
Oh my God.
I did type Yahoo. Did y'all see that?
Yes, you did.
I did type Yahoo. What happened is the name resolution process, the first place it looks is the host file. Does anyone know why it looks there first? That's the way the internet was made. When the internet was first made, the ARPANET, that's the only way it did it.
That back in the day.
That was the only way.
Especially
So-
on the Unix machines.
Right. So what happens is it checks there first. What's basically saying it, well, actually it's the second place it checks. First place it checks is itself, its brain. Have I been there lately? And if I haven't, it checks there. But what I told it was, hey, when you want to go to yahoo.com, go here instead. Or actually I said, this is Yahoo's address. Okay. Way back when, actually not way back, but quite a few years ago, we had a couple secretaries in our building. They're way gone now. But their entire life was MySpace. All day long. That's all they did. It's like, you need to get something done? Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. That's all they did. It was driving me crazy. So I actually got permission to edit their host file. And MySpace, all those, forwarded to the Rose State website.
Oh, okay.
So the moment they type in www.myspace.com, they got the Rose State website. And the funny thing was, they never complained to anybody. Can you imagine complaining to your boss? I'm trying to go to MySpace, but I keep getting referred back to my job. So, kind of scary stuff, but yeah.
Were you looking for the content.ie file folder?
Yes.
Okay. You can't search for it, but if you type it in, it comes up.
Right, yeah, that's what, where is it at?
It's under username, or actually, yeah, users, whoever user is, local, or app data local.
Local, then what?
Microsoft, Windows,
Okay.
temporary internet files, and then it's content.ie file.
There it is. I knew it was there somewhere.
And you can't search for
Yeah,
it.
you can't search for it.
Search can't.
All right, so remember, let me go in here and dump my internet files again, make sure we do this right. This is what we were looking at earlier. That was under delete browsing history. We're going to delete everything, okay? Do you all agree I just deleted my internet files? All right. So if I delete my internet files, these should be gone then, shouldn't they? Well, naturally they're empty. Oh, great. Nah, they're not empty. They shouldn't be empty. Could be under another user or something. Yeah, because I did refresh. Because they don't go away. There's no way that's fixed it. But either way, these should go away. But if you delete those, There it goes. Now it's really gone. But all I know is you got to go in and delete that stuff to get rid of it totally. Okay? I don't know why they weren't. It's probably something to do with deep freeze on here that's not actually storing them somewhere. But, yeah, I knew it was that content IE5 thing. Because so many times viruses will be written there and they won't get rid of when you delete history. All right. So actually, I'm going to see something here real quick. Come on. Go news. Okay, let's just. Who's Orion? Okay, we should now have some data in here. Yes, I know. That's all? Well, they don't always work great. So, in case you're wondering. Oh, so now there's a whole bunch more. Oh, what the hell? What's this thing doing?
And you know, the mysterious thing about that is, you check the checkbox that says don't save history on exit, and look what it, I mean, it just
Yeah,
saves something.
it's saved some anyway. But the point is, it does save something. Okay, it could be defreeze something to doing it. But all right, so we know kind of what the local host table is. So you could really there's actually some viruses out there that will go in. Think about it. If I was to figure out which bank you were using, and I had a copy of that bank that was malicious, I could go into your local host file, put in your bank's address with my IP address. Your bank's name with my IP address. So next time you go to your bank, you're really getting my place. And you wouldn't know any difference because you actually went to your bank. So
I used to have Quicken Books. No,
QuickBooks, yeah.
No, the online one. What is that called?
QuickBooks Online?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was doing my paying the bills and doing all the work with it.
Right.
And when the website came up to do the online banking part,
Yeah.
pay the bill part, I was doing it. I was moving so fast, and I looked, and I, for a second, realized, wow, the website looks a little different. But I had typed my password like almost automatically.
Yeah.
And I did not hit enter. And I
Ooh.
was like, whoa, wait a second, the website looks different. All I did was type it.
Yeah.
I did not hit enter. So I said, well, let me make sure I'm on the right website. So
Yeah.
I closed Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
And then went to my link that I knew was
Right.
the online part, and
Right.
it would look normal again.
So
Okay.
it was obviously a fake one that was
Right.
close.
And I was like, oh. So I went in there and I changed the password right then.
Yeah.
Right? And sure enough, the next day my account was locked.
Nice.
Someone I think had tried my, but I didn't even hit enter. I had just typed my password in the password.
Wow. Huh.
And didn't hit enter and realized I went back and I still think they picked up my password.
They could have. They could have. But it's scary. All right.
Which Nigerians are.
Yeah.
Wherever they are.
What if I can get into your machine? Now, you know you can actually edit all your internet properties using the netsh command. You don't have to do it through the browser or through the GUI. What if I was to get into your, or put a script somewhere that made you click, that changed your DNS servers to point to me? You wouldn't know any difference. You'd just be clearing to me, and actually this room might actually work better. So I wouldn't be here, Brian. Brian's like, damn it, I wish you'd stop giving me a hard time. That's what Shalon says about her BlackBerry. Because I really like it. All right, so that's what DNS poisoning is. We're basically telling you to go somewhere else. Okay? All right.
Well, that's what that, isn't that what that FBI,
Yeah, they're taking
that site that was taken by the FBI, that the FBI's been.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So last, Monday.
Right.
They finally said, okay, we're gonna take it down now, because their statistics only showed like out of all, the whole internet.
Yeah, it
only
was-
300,000 user, workstations are still
Yeah,
looking at it.
yeah.
And so they decided to finally take it
Yeah.
back down.
Yeah, it was that website, whatever the virus they were doing.
Yeah,
But when they captured the spammer, the virus guy, whatever, they were going to take the machines down.
Right.
But then they found out so many people were infected still. They got rid of the bad part,
Yeah.
but they left it up there just so they could handle DNS for them.
Right, exactly.
Because what happens is their machines were compromised to the point where they were sending DNS requests to this external address. Do y'all know what to use for DNS? At your house?
Dynamic.
Well, I mean, that's the update. But I mean, in your IP configuration, let me show you this here real quick. I always recommend people at their homes to do this. Don't do this at work. It could affect things. Okay, inside your network properties, okay, so we got IPv4 right here. See how we got automatic IP address and automatic DNS servers? That's fine. Check this instead and use 8.8.8.8. That's Google.
8.8.4.4.
4.8, yeah, 8.8.8.8 or 8.8.4.4. They're free. They're Google's DNS server. And I'll have people come to me sometimes, it hasn't happened lately, but people are like, wow, Cox is down. No, they're not. It might have been their DNS servers down. So if I was to say, always use Google's DNS server, the odds are it's going to be up. You don't have to use your provider's DNS server.
If you got kids, Open DNS is not bad because you can sign up for free, and then you can say,
Block certain stuff?
yeah.
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
a filter.
That's cool.
And
Yeah.
you go in here, and most of them, my 14-year-old hasn't figured it out yet, so
Ah.
it's another 6 months or so. But
You know, it's funny.
Just switch your DNS on your router.
Tell you, Friday night, I got home from Texas, and I take care of a video store. I take care of a computer at a video store. I get free rentals, so I do it anyway. But she contacted me, and she wants to block people in the video store from using Facebook. But she doesn't want to get rid of internet. So what I did is I showed her how to go in here, and she has hard-coded addresses, hard-coded IPs. She only has 4 machines.
Is it to stop her employees from doing Facebook
Yes.
work? Yeah.
So what I did is
She should just fire her.
well, yeah,
Just fire one of them, and then the other
Yeah.
one.
that's what she's supposed to have in there, 1.100.
Yeah.
I just tell her change it to 1.101, hit save. It ain't gonna work no more. It's basically saying instead of going out that door, go through this door. It's not a door. So she loves it. Now whenever she wants to use the internet, she just changes it back to 100. So, and it works great. She loves it. But the point about the IP address of the DNS, even when automatic IP address is configured like we all have at home, you can still hardcode the DNS. Now, if you have a router, you can put it right into your router. But if you don't have a router, you can do this. And then all your requests will be going out to Google, which is fine. That way, if Cox's DNS server goes down, doesn't affect me anymore. So, kind of handy. Okay. Do not do it on a domain, though. Because if I was to do that to this machine, it would work a little. But then the moment my machine tried to authenticate, it'd be like, whoa, where's the domain controller? Not at Google. I said, don't do it at your work.
well, at least it would be okay because they're public
Yeah.
IP addresses.
Yeah, but the DNS is still, blueriver.ad DNS server. Because we still, once you remember the domain, you have to have your DNS set to point to the domain's DNS server, or else you won't be authentic. And you can authenticate, but it'll take forever. It'll use cache credentials. So, not a good idea. All right, privilege escalation. This is exploiting software vulnerabilities to gain access to restricted systems. Okay, there was a vulnerability years ago which has been fixed, but it was available on Windows 2000. I think they fixed it on XP. Do you all know when your screensaver comes up, what files actually run? The default screensaver, before you log in, machine's turned on, and it's waiting for a login prompt, but the screensaver comes out, and it's called login.scr. That's the login. Okay, login screensaver. Okay. Well, what you could do is you could go in and take cmd.exe, the command prompt, or user mgr.exe, user manager, and rename it as login.scr. And just save it. And those files didn't have permissions on them. You could edit them. So what I could do is I could get into your system, rename, copy command.com over top of your login screensaver, and then just log off. The next time the screensaver activates, instead of the screensaver, you get a command prompt, or you get user manager or something. But the problem is it's running at system level permissions at that point. So you have full admin access to the entire system. So kind of scary. Okay? So exploit software vulnerabilities to gain access to restricted data. So there's lots of things out there to do that. Lower level privilege access functions restricted to a higher level user. So certain, like a normal user couldn't run user manager, but if I ran it as a system account, I could. And that's what I was just talking about. Okay? All right. Transitive access is involving a third party to gain access. I go through one to get to another. I don't know a good example of this one, but has to do whose credentials should be used. Can't think of an example on that one.
Like the sticky keys? Do you know, there's
Yeah, we did the sticky keys one. That's the same way. Does Windows 7 support it?
Yeah, it does.
There it is. I hit the thing 5 times. Okay, I hit my shift key 5 times. What that did, y'all can do it on yours if you want. Hit shift key 5 times, it brings up sticky keys. So what I could do is I could get into your system, and I forget the file name that's sticky keys comes up. But whatever it is, I could copy the command prompt there. And then log off. Hit the shift key 5 times. Instead of sticky keys coming up, the command prompt comes up. Again, at system level access.
Right.
Then I could go in and do whatever I felt like. So I forget exactly what it's like. SS something like
I forgot.
SKMGR, something like that. But it's all kinds of stuff. It's kind of the same thing as the screensaver. Then all I need to do is wait for you to log off your machine. Even while the prompt is there, the login prompt, I can hit the shift key 5 times, that'll come up. But I'll open up a user manager and I can go ahead and add me an administrative account.
And then you can change the password.
I can change the password and everything.
Would that be like past the hash, where if you pulled the hash off of system admins?
Well, not really. Kind of. But actually, I mean, as the system, then I can go in and add a new account. I can reset passwords or whatever. So, all right, that's the end of chapter 3. All right, it's break time, guys. Go take a break.